Good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now, tonight's going to be back squat, and I'm very excited because I'm going back to a standard barbell. I've been using a curved barbell recently, and that was mainly to just change the lift slightly, and I was also working my core a lot more due to the shape of the bar. And because of the shape of the bar, it was actually a lot easier on my shoulders and on my elbow because I'm still recovering from my surgery that I had more than a few months ago. So today we're going to give the barbell a shot to see if my shoulders can actually get in there. I have been doing some mobility drills in physical therapy, so I should be able to get underneath this bar and be comfortable. I'll also be doing this in giant set format, and I have a different kind of variation lift for later, which I'll describe once we get there. So we'll be chasing daylight here because the sun's going down. So we got to start getting this workout going. So I'm going to warm up and we're going to hit the back squat. Let's get cracking. So on today's workout, it's going to be the back squat with a normal barbell, which I haven't done in a very long time. But surprisingly, it didn't feel too bad on my shoulders. And I'm going down to that med ball for depth. And I'm also using that med ball for the giant set. I'm going to be doing some med ball jump squats, and then I'm going to transition over into med ball slams to work my core. This is working my explosive movement pattern so that I'm able to squat efficiently and to think explosively. I typically don't have a problem getting under a normal barbell when I'm back squatting, but when you haven't back squatted in a very long time with a normal barbell, it could feel very foreign, especially as the weight gets heavier, because as it gets heavier, even if you've been able to squat 4 plates on each side, which is 405 pounds, it might seem like it's 500 pounds, just because you're not used to having that kind of resistance on your back. And although the Yukon bar is doing the same movement patterns essentially as a normal barbell, it's definitely a lot easier on your shoulders, but it does work your core a lot more because the bar actually moves around on your back, causing your core to kick in and have to work its stabilizers a lot more than a typical barbell would. So there are trade-offs to using both of these in training and to switch off back and forth just to kind of change the variation and get your muscles to work a little bit harder. Now, if you notice from my last videos, I've been doing this with no equipment on, no knee sleeves, no belt. You'll see this time I am throwing on equipment. And the reason why I'm doing that is because A, when you lift heavy, you should wear equipment. It's just safer that way. But I'm also having some knee problems as well, which I've had my whole entire life. So I've talked about that before. It's just from doing sports and running growing up. So I have to protect my knee and be mindful of that when I'm lifting. So this was supposed to be my top set for the day. I wanted to hit this for 3 reps, and it moved so smoothly. I was very surprised. And so since it was moving so smoothly, you know how I like to do, I wanted to see how much further I could go up. And I could have gone up another 20 pounds for 335 and done another 3, but why do that? I decided to put the bar up to 365 pounds, and I wanted to see if I could do it for 1 rep, possibly maybe 2. And as I got off the bar, it definitely felt very heavy on my back because I haven't lifted this much weight in a while. And the first rep goes up very smooth, and the second rep you can see goes very slowly. But although it went very slowly, I did feel like I could have done a 3rd rep. I was just moving very slowly. So I didn't feel like grinding it out though. I was very pleased with just how that went for 2. It just shows that I'm on the right track. Next time I go back to hit this lift, I now know where I'm at and I can program my numbers around how I did on my performance today. Well, that went absolutely fantastic and not according to plan. The plan was to only go up to 315 pounds and hit it for 3 and see how I feel. I decided to go for 365 today because 315 moved very fast. And as you can see, even though that those 2 squats on 365 were a little bit slower, I felt like I could have done a 3rd one if I grinded it out, but that was not the purpose. The purpose was to see how I felt and take it from there and to start training over again with a specific number in mind. Now we're going to jump onto the variation lift, where hopefully that will carry over into the back squat and into the deadlift. So let's go take a look at that. Now for the variation giant set, I'm doing what's called a snatch grip deadlift. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same thing as a regular deadlift, only your hands are out a lot wider. And just to keep the giant set format the same, I decided to use the med ball again and do the same explosive movement patterns that I was doing in the first giant set. Now the reason why I'm doing a snatch grip deadlift is because allegedly this is how a lot of people get better at deadlifting, and it carries over into your back squat. I don't know this because I typically don't snatch grip deadlift. But if you watch all of my favorite strongman people, typically if they were very good at being explosive athletes, like carrying or lifting a log or having to throw something explosively, they usually suffer at the deadlift just because those are two different movements. A deadlift, you don't need to be as explosive. You need to kind of ease the weight until it gets nice and tense, and then you can explode from there. But currently, one of my favorite strongmen is a very explosive athlete and does very well in every single event, including the log clean and press and anything that requires athletic movements. But he can also deadlift a lot. And according to him on his YouTube channel, he says that this is how he caught up on his deadlift. He said the deadlift used to be his worst event. And then as he learned the technique and he started incorporating the snatch grip deadlift, it really worked his upper back. It taught his mechanics how to essentially be more efficient in the movement and to work his upper back to the point that he was able to kind of figure out how to incorporate that into a regular deadlift. So who knows? I'm giving this a shot. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot for one cycle, and I'm going to see if it carries over, because allegedly it's going to carry over into the deadlift, it's going to carry over into the back squat, and it's also going to help with explosive movements. So allegedly this is one of the greatest variation lifts you can do. So I'm going to give it a shot. And again, that was supposed to be my top set for the day, but I was feeling so good, I'm like, let's add more weight to the bar and see how we're doing. Now that first rep was perfect, and so was the second rep. But you can see as I'm starting to get fatigued, I'm starting to really get way over the bar a lot more, which throws a lot more strain on your lower back and your hips, and that's not really the point of it. So as I'm watching myself do this right now, I'm realizing that I need to do what I did on my first two pulls, which is to lean back a lot more. That's going to get my point A to point B in a straight line and not so far over the bar. But overall, I like this movement. It really did work my upper back, and it really did teach me a lot about my mechanics. So when I go back to work out again, I'll know what I can do better. Well, that went a lot better than I anticipated. I hit more weight on the back squat than I was anticipating, and I snatch grip deadlift more than I was anticipating. So all in all, a great workout session. Now hopefully adding this variation deadlift to my back squat days will increase both my deadlift and my back squat the way that it's designed to do. It was my first time doing it, and I'm very pleased with the way it went. Really appreciate everybody joining me this evening, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you.